I'm a client of Globevisa. I applied for a Greek property investment immigration program. I've had my residence card for over a year now, and I've already traveled to Europe 4 times with it. My impression of Globevisa is that if I were to rate their service out of 10, I'd give them a 9.9. I'm holding back that last 0.1 just so you don't get too proud. Globevisa is one of the very few service organizations I've encountered, actually among all service agencies, where whenever I post a question in our group chat, someone responds within a minute, and if the person who sees it isn't responsible for my case, they'll at the relevant colleague. This level of service really impressed me. Because of this, I've already referred a few clients to Globevisa, and 2 or 3 of them have successfully signed up. As for agencies, refunds are one aspect, especially for those of us who run our own businesses. We're definitely going to compare options. At the time, I think I compared 2 or 3 different agencies, but for me, I didn't spend too much time making the decision. I believe that when we're making a choice, price is one factor, but service is another, or you could say the reputation and scale of the company also serve as an endorsement for us. When I searched for Globevisa online and asked some of my friends about it, I learned that Globevisa has many branches across the country, which shows that their financial strength is relatively solid. That's why I was drawn to Globevisa at the time. In this regard, its scale effect was what made me choose Globevisa. Back then, we were really just giving ourselves an opportunity, thinking we should take a step out and see what's out there, especially since both my wife and I studied in the UK. On one hand, we felt that having an international pass would make traveling much more convenient, so we wouldn't have to apply for visas every time. Secondly, the threshold for Greece at that time wasn't particularly high, so it was a relatively quick decision for us in terms of value. Another reason was for our child's education. We thought that if, in the future, our child wanted to go abroad or something, having a green card might make things a bit easier. So, taking all these factors into account, I chose Greece, because it allows you to bring your parents and children along, and there is no residency requirement. For families like ours, it's really very friendly. In fact, I've been to Greece twice. Besides the time I went to give my fingerprints, I had visited once before. Greece has always struck me as a country with deep cultural and historical roots. It's different from countries like the United States. It's more like the origin of European culture as a whole. So, you see, there are many philosophers, and the local residents there really resemble the sculptures we see in museums in Italy and France. Also, the people are incredibly warm and hospitable. That's why I feel this country is one with a rich historical and cultural heritage, but also has the romance of the islands. When we went there to give our fingerprints, the level of acceptance towards Chinese people is very high, especially since we brought children with us. Locals are extremely fond of kids and very warm towards them. So we feel that Greece, for people who want to live there, is a very livable place in terms of its culture and cost of living. I think that actually buying a house in Greece is similar to buying a house in China, whether it's for your own use or as an investment. The logic for choosing a property is basically the same. First, you need to determine your needs. If you plan to live there in the future, you might lean more towards a property for self-use, so you'll need to consider whether there are good amenities nearby. If it's for your children's education, then you'll need to pay more attention to whether there are good international schools in the area. If, like me, your focus is on investment, If your focus is more on investment like mine, then for me, the first thing I look for in a property is a certain level of security. I've heard of many people who bought private houses in Greece and were then forced to continue living there. So for me, the first priority is safety. I don't want buying or investing in this property to become a mental burden or cause unnecessary stress for me. Secondly, it's about the return on investment. If the return can be higher, that's even better. And finally, as we all know, when buying a property, location is always key. So I hope it's closer to the city center of Athens, near the Acropolis. That's basically my logic when it comes to choosing a property. This place isn't far from the Acropolis in Greece. It's just a few subway stops away. It's a property that's a hotel-style apartment near Concord Square called Best Western. I chose it mainly for a few reasons. First, Best Western is a relatively mid-range chain hotel brand. It has locations all over the world, so I personally think it has strong brand backing and is very safe. Secondly, its return rate is relatively attractive, about 3% annually. Plus, for the first few years, the rent is returned to you as a rental guarantee. Another point is its location, which I am quite satisfied with. I remember it was at the beginning of 2022 when I first had this idea. Then, at the end of 2022, I got in touch with Globevisa and successfully signed the contract at the end of 2022. After that, a group was created and we communicated through some documents within the group. In April 2023, I successfully signed a contract with the Greek real estate company. Then in July 2023, I completed all the procedures and went to Greece to have my fingerprints taken. I was very lucky. Just 2 months later, in September 2023, I received my card in China.